Hey guys, it's Jessie, and today's video is about bipolar disorder, finally. I haven't made a video about what bipolar disorder is because there's a lot of other good videos out there on bipolar disorder, and I'm not, like an expert. Like, if you want factual information, I would go to Katie Morton, who I will link below. Sarah Hawkinson has not made a video on bipolar disorder yet, but I'm sure she will eventually. And out of the people who have bipolar disorder, the only person who I think makes good, detailed videos about their experiences would be Raw Sammy. I'm not necessarily a big fan of her other content, but her bipolar disorder videos are very comprehensive, I think. However, she does suffer from type 1 bipolar disorder, and I have type 2, so there's some differences there. So what bipolar disorder is that you have mood fluctuation, you have severe depression, and you have manic episodes. Now, this is the difference between type 1 and type 2, is the manic episodes are mania in type 1, but in type 2, it's hypomanic. So here's bipolar 1, here's bipolar 2. So the symptoms are different for mania and hypomania. Mania it can be positive, it can be negative. Generally, your energy is all over the place, and you do a lot of things that are rash and kind of stupid that you might regret later that you wouldn't normally do. Your libido is off the charts. You're super, super angry. You're super, super elated. And a lot of the times these emotions don't necessarily have a reason, but sometimes they do, and sometimes you can be triggered into a manic state, and sometimes you can be triggered back into a depression. And so for type 2, which is what I've dealt with, a lot of the times I just kind of act like nothing has any consequences, like, oh, it'll be fine no matter what. And I don't really believe in regretting things that I've done, so it's kind of hard for me to sort of discern, like, oh, was this kind of a hypomanic mistake? And generally how I sort of gauge that is this something that I would have done before I developed bipolar disorder, or is this something that I would have done while I was depressed, or does this seem like something that I did because I wasn't thinking? And so for me, last year, not this past year, my freshman year of college, I went on a lot of Tinder dates, and I didn't really talk to these people all that long most of the time. One time I went to Shenley Park, and made out with a guy in his hammock because he brought me wine, and I kind of immediately regretted the decision because we got into his car and he started smoking weed. And like, that's not something that I really feel comfortable with, being in a vehicle with someone who's not sober. Please, when you're operating a motorized vehicle, please be sober. That's one of the few things that I ask out of other people. In addition, with mania, you usually just don't sleep, like, at all. With hypomania, it can be similar. For me, I would just stay up really, really late, regardless of when I had to wake up in the morning. So my freshman year, when I was not on any medication at all, I would frequently go to the gym at like midnight, and then I would just kind of do whatever with tons and tons of energy until like 3 in the morning. Sometimes even later. Now, hypomania isn't just a thing that happens in bipolar disorder, it also happens in cyclothymia, which is another sort of mood disorder, but it's different. So with bipolar disorders, both types, you have like severe depression, so you have all of the criteria that fits a major depressive episode, whereas with cyclothymia, you don't. So I was originally diagnosed with cyclothymia, but this was from a psychiatrist who said to a friend of mine that even though he wanted to kill himself and was very depressed all the time, that he was not depressed, that he did not have depression, that he did not need medication. And I know this person, and I know that they struggle with depression, it's really not that hard to diagnose depression, and I'm pretty sure I said that in another video, that you can essentially self-diagnose yourself with anxiety and depression, because if you're constantly feeling anxious, you're having panic attacks, you're having anxiety attacks, you have an anxiety disorder. You can't necessarily pinpoint which one it usually is. I used to think I had anxiety, like generalized anxiety, but no, I just have panic disorder. And I knew that I'd been having major depressive episodes since I was like 11. So this really was like, I don't believe her. My current psychiatrist has not had the time to sort of do a full evaluation, but I'm pretty sure he and I are both on the same page, because otherwise he probably would not have put me on antidepressants. You know, he probably would not have been like, you know, I see that you're struggling with depression as a part of what you're dealing with. And so I guess I'll go over the criteria for a major depressive episode. So with a major depressive episode, you have lack of appetite or increase in appetite. You have a change in your sleep patterns. Generally, you'll sleep more. You have less energy. You can be prone to crying fits. Did I say lack of appetite? Because that's definitely one, change in appetite. You have a disinterest in activities that you previously enjoyed. And I'm pretty sure there's a few other criteria. You have to fit a certain number out of the major criteria, and I fit almost all of them. So, yeah, I don't really have anything else that I think I need to say in this video, other than that, like, bipolar disorder, really, it's not bad. Probably, like, the biggest difficulty is getting people to believe you. I really don't believe that people understand what I'm dealing with when I say, like, oh, I'm struggling. Sometimes people will see the hypomanic side of you or the manic side of you and think that's the real you, and that the depressed side of you is just the depressed part, but like the other side is the real you, and like really the real you is just somewhere in the middle. I've heard that with medication you can reverse the effects of bipolar disorder, but I'm pretty sure that's not like really scientifically proven through research. It's just sort of like people notice that their symptoms sort of dwindle after being on medication for a while, especially if they start it younger. So that's sort of a brief overview of what bipolar disorder is and what bipolar disorder spectrum disorders are. Speaking is hard, and I have been really tired today because I overslept. The weather is beautiful today. I'm probably gonna go and attempt to get tan, but not burnt. And I will see you next time.